Somebody is watching the show on their computer. Somebody who's on YouTube. Is it you, Vogt?
Probably.
What is up, everybody? Welcome in to the offseason, the DNVR Nuggets Mailbag Pod, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. You can download it, use promo code DNVR when you do, and then you can bet alongside with us as we get into our bets. We should have we should have a designated betting day this offseason where we just make like some random bets. I think that would be fun.
Dude, the more betting, the better. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like the more betting, the better.
I got my guy Harrison Wynn with me.
What's up, fellas? Man, like I thought I'd be recovered from the wedding by now. Not recovered at all.
If people don't know,
still struggling 48 hours later.
Same,
yeah, the boss,
honestly.
Brandon Spano, got married this weekend, and it was the drunkest collectively DNVR has ever been. All of DNVR, every single person.
It was the first time I was talking to people about this when we were up there. It was the first time we were all together. Like the entire company has been together, I feel like, in the last 15 months.
Yeah.
Like, every single person was pretty much there.
It's so true, man. It was a great time, though. 10 out of 10.
I left and the vibes were great. And then I looked on Twitter the next morning and Kale cut every inch of his face. So I was like, I don't know, the last hour.
No, Kale, you're not supposed to show it. You're not supposed
how good it was.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I Irish exited at like 1 o'clock. So I saw myself out at around 1.
I did too. My wife had to take me home. That's how bad it was. But it was a fantastic time. I've also got Brennan Vogt here, obviously.
Yeah, I bowed out when the unnamed coworker was kicked out of the bar. I was like, all right, time to go.
Somebody was kicked out of the bar?
Somebody got kicked out?
Yeah, totally silly reason. They didn't really deserve it, but it was hilarious all the same. And that was my cue to grab an early exit.
Wait, who was it? All of our cue.
Who was it? Just give us a hint. Just give us a hint. Give us a hint.
Don't know what that means, but okay.
That's it.
Was it you?
No, it wasn't.
Wait,
Was it Superstar Dev?
There's a superstar Dev waiting in the wings here. Bring him on, Kale. I see Dev just joined the chat. Dev has entered.
The boys. There he is.
Man, Dev actually bowed out. He was the first person to leave. He was the first person to bow out. He left before things got a little too wild.
Yeah, I get out of there. If there's responsibilities or any type of blame that could be placed, I have to go.
You were smart too, man. You were smart too. Your face is still intact. The same for everybody else in the company. Guys, just a little bit of housekeeping here. So for the offseason, we have put together an offseason plan for our shows. We are going to be going live. Today we're at 1 o'clock, but going forward, it's actually going to be 2 o'clock. We're going to be going live at 2 o'clock, and we're going to have some cool things going on. Mondays are always going to be a mailbag. So you got questions, look for it on Monday. Send us your questions, and we're going to talk about them. Let you guys kind of pick the topics for us on Monday. On Tuesdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to mix it up, but we're going to have guests coming on. We're going to be doing draft prep as the draft is not that far away. So we're always going to pick one player to kind of highlight and talk about them. And then, of course, Casual Friday, the return of Casual Friday, one of our favorites, where we're bringing back the steps, a chance for you to win some DNVR merch if you can go far enough. I can't wait for it. The steps is one of the great things of last offseason. So, but today, gentlemen, while we were busy drinking ourselves into a stupor, the Brooklyn Nets were busy losing. The 76ers were busy losing and collapsing. And also the Phoenix Suns continue. Without Chris Paul, they continue their dominance. So I want to start with these three games, and we could start in chronological order. We were watching this one at the bar. The Brooklyn Nets go down. And look, they had a lot of injuries. James Harden was clearly not himself. But the thing that stood out to me, and I think I screamed at the top of my lungs at the bar for 30 straight minutes, was that KD airballed a game winner.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It was the biggest surprise, I thought, of the whole playoffs.
I thought it was the common denominator, man, and like all these good teams and a lot of these good players bowing out early, which is, doing it by yourself is a myth. And there's like 2 or 3 players maybe ever that could even try to do that.
No, they couldn't, though. They couldn't.
That's the thing. Exactly. LeBron, MJ, they had help, and when they didn't, they came short. And KD, who was phenomenal all series, especially in the absence of those guys. But being the only guy taking every shot, playing every minute, it did in fact catch up to him, and right at the last second for the Bucks.
It wasn't just like a small miss. It was like by this much.
It was not close.
Of an air ball. It was a really bad air ball. And then also, if you just go into the game, like he got the ball for like the last 20 straight possessions. He was actually tired. He knew he was tired. He kept shooting. And then, you know, he didn't have any energy on the last shot. The shot before that was such a big shot that I was like, there's no way they go to him again. And then for him to not go for the tie and to try to win it while being so tired, that was awesome.
Yeah, he was absolutely gassed. Just
did you feel good about it, Harrison, when he airballed it? Were you like happy? What was your feeling?
Yeah, I was happy because I'm rooting for the Bucks. Like I'm obviously rooting for the Bucks and Axel Toupon, like my guy.
Yeah, your guy.
Of course, yeah.
No, I want to see the Bucks win. I want to see Giannis win in Milwaukee, of course. Like I don't want to see the Brooklyn Nets super team that's down to one guy at the end in Kevin Durant win. I was rooting for the Bucks, so of course I was happy that Milwaukee won. I don't think it's like maybe good in the long run because they might keep Budenholzer after all this, which would be wild. But yeah, I'm happy Milwaukee won.
I was kind of sad Milwaukee won. Sometimes I don't know who I'm rooting for till it happens, and then I'm kind of like, why am I upset? Right. And it's because of my Giannis conspiracy. It's really the worst type of way to watch the NBA where I'm rooting for a team that like deserves it to fail because I want their player to come. Like I feel like a Lakers fan, but that's how I was. I was like, hey man, if they flame out, Giannis is even closer to maybe leaving. But you know what? All the same, you know, I am happy for the Bucks. It was just so wild to see KD miss like that, especially because he had come up clutch so many times in this playoffs. He looks so dominant.
He had just hit the long two.
He did everything. He hit everything. And then you think, all right, last shot, let's see what happens. Then I was like, oh, he had to have been fouled. I got to see the replay. Nope, nothing. It was just an air ball.
It's crazy too, because if he is a size down in shoe size, that's a game winner.
No, yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
He's that close. He's that close to hitting. I mean, that shot too was just ridiculous as an understatement. But look, I think the guys who had to do it for a long period of time, even the guys who only had to do it for a series, doing it by yourself, it catches up to you. And eventually, even the best players in the world look like something less than that under these circumstances. Yeah. And to be clear, KD looked phenomenal all series, but when it mattered, he came up short.
I got to go to this comment here. Jokic watching podcast from Somber, 100%. I'm going to go 0%.
Yeah, 100% he is not watching.
Negative 100%.
There's no chance Jokic is watching this from Sombor. He's got better things to do.
I've never been more confident in anything.
Have you guys seen the videos, man? Like, I'm really curious to sort of ask him. Sombor has always been his haven, like his, like, you know, go and now we're seeing some of these almost paparazzi-like videos. Yeah. I can't tell if, like, Jokic is in on it, where it's like, hey, a guy is filming him, but some of these are like him drinking a water or coffee, and there's just people like zooming in on him. And so I'm like, I don't know. This feels. I wonder if he's finally reached the point where he can no longer be private anywhere in the world.
Probably not. I mean, most of the videos are just B-roll of him like riding his horse.
Right.
just put it in the Jokic B-roll horse folder.
It's one folder, by the way. That's the only B-roll folder.
Yeah.
I want to go to the other game, though, the one that's even more interesting, I think, for Nuggets fans, especially the Nuggets fans that have shade in their heart. The 76ers go down to the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks, who, by the way, I really love. They're my favorite Eastern Conference team. I like rooting for them. But the Hawks did not have Hunter. They did not have Bogdanovich. I mean, Bogdanovich was like clearly on one. He shouldn't have even played, to be honest. He was kind of an anchor to them because of how hurt he was. And yet the Hawks get the win. Trae Young didn't even shoot well. And the 76ers still go down. There's a lot of storylines here. One of them, we're going to talk about Ben Simmons. He's also obviously the title of this. The other one, Joel Embiid had 8 turnovers in back-to-back games, and he had the turnover. There were a lot of plays that you could define as the play, like the Ben Simmons no-shot was also the play. But Embiid's turnover, like that was a, hey, you get this, you're going to win. Don't get this, you know, it's going to be tough. But you turn it over and allow a dunk, game over, game, set, match. And that's exactly what happened. What was your takeaway, Dev?
I think the biggest takeaway was just how much they hate each other. Like, everyone over there really dislikes each other.
Yeah.
Rivers hates people. Joel Embiid hates people. Ben Simmons is hated by everyone.
Oh my God.
Seth Curry is just nice and doesn't understand why he's around that type of situation.
Yeah, but he also can't guard Herter. Like Herter's a good player. He's underrated. But the thing about Philly, they're kind of similar to Denver in that they have offensive guys and defensive guys. They don't have two-way guys. And Seth Curry, as great as he was, and as much as he got them to a Game 7, he could not guard Herter. Herter looked like Michael Jordan out there.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think that really with Austin Rivers being in Denver and him having the comment about how basically everyone is connected and everyone is a part of it in the culture. And then you could go to see how Doc Rivers teams every single year bow out in the exact same way, and then everyone throws each other under the bus. It goes to show the difference in these teams. There's joy on some teams, and then there's not joy. Even when the Sixers were winning, they were never happy or about each other. So I think that was my biggest takeaway is that somehow, no matter what, Doc Rivers teams hate each other.
I love that. I love this theory. What was your takeaway, Harrison?
I think that's a great point from Dev. I mean, one of the big reasons the Clippers frayed out last year and blew the 3-1 lead against the Nuggets, because that just wasn't a team. It was a group of individuals who just went away from each other instead of coming together when the going really got tough against Denver. And yeah, here's another Doc Rivers team that just frayed at the seams. And we're going to talk about Ben Simmons. Maybe even a bigger problem for Philly is they're paying Doc Rivers $8 million a year for the next 4 years. Good luck with that. But the Hawks, man, I said this about the young generation of players on the pod last month or something. They're just fearless, man. And I know Trae Young had a bad game. It kind of reminded me of when Lillard went 1-10 against Denver and the Blazers still won that game in that first round series. But this young Hawks team, man, they're fearless. They're absolutely fearless. And they play together. They don't care who they're going up against. Kevin Herter,
pride of upstate New York, baby. Let's go.
There's an alternate timeline where Kevin Herter is from Boulder, Colorado, and went to Fairview High School. That might have happened in a past life. Yeah. So I just love the chemistry, the courage, just how that Hawks team had no fear.
There's a sweet spot where you're good enough to compete, but not long enough in the league to care. And that's where the Hawks are. This is their first time in the playoffs. They have nothing to lose, but they're also good enough that playing like you have nothing to lose makes you really good and really dangerous. So I'm with you. They are this year's, them and the Suns are both the magical teams of this year where they're just, everything's kind of going right for them right now. And they just have this great belief. Vote, rank. I want the blame game. Who's it on? Philly. Rank in order. Top 3 people that you blame these Philly collapse for.
Ben Simmons.
Number 1.
It's got to be number 1. He's got to be number 1. Played off the floor. Invisible when he was on the floor.
Literally played off the floor.
I'm not exaggerating.
0 field goal attempts in the last 4 games of the series in the fourth. What?
Yeah, that's tough. After that, I'll go with Doc. I'm not going to point to any one specific thing Doc did, and say this.
I can point to one specific thing. Playing Dwight Howard.
Okay.
Fair enough. Are you kidding?
But my point is just look, at this point, he's a common denominator. If Doc is there and the team falls short, Doc's one of the reasons. And then finally, this is a little unfair and context matters. But you know what? Joel Embiid's the best player on the team. And the burden of the best player is to shine in these moments. And there were moments in this series on a torn meniscus where he was remarkable. But down the stretch of that game with a chance to win and his team needed him, he was something short of that.
I don't feel like that's unfair at all. I mean, you could go to Tobias Harris, who also was really bad. But look, man, Embiid, all we've been told about was hey, he plays offense and defense. This is what makes him different than this and that. First of all, defense. I mean, that game was really ugly. Everybody missed the shots. But if you look at the series, he had every bit of a hard time guarding the pick and roll as as Nikola Jokic, as basically any big. No big can guard the pick and roll, including Joel Embiid. And then offensively, every single game he wore down as the games went on.
Sure.
And when they needed him most, and that one possession where it was still a game, and it was just like both teams were having a hard time scoring. Like both teams just needed guys to be heroic. Kevin Huerter came up bigger than he did down the stretch of this game. And Embiid had, I think, 3 quick buckets to start the fourth. But on that play, it was just, what is wrong with Joel Embiid as an offensive player? He doesn't read the double team well. He turns it over too much, and it was like right under the microscope for that fourth.
What I just say, to be fair, I just want to, like, if Jokic was playing on a torn meniscus and Jamal Murray looked like a G League player, you know what I mean? We might want to say, well, it wasn't just. But the reality is Embiid had his moments, and in those moments he came up short.
I think this is what makes this the best part of it. We don't have to like hide our feelings about the other teams. We can say exactly what went wrong and judge them like the correct way without anyone feeling a certain way. Call him out. Embiid, he gets all of this praise for things that Jokic can't do, and then he couldn't do them. So it's the same thing as every other like good defensive player. Gobert and Embiid are the best 2, bigs defensively, and they've been played off of the court in a lot of those games. And so
or at least played where it's like we're not getting any stops anyway. We just got to outscore them.
Just got to outscore
Yeah.
them.
Tobias Harris in the comments too, and of course that's a great answer. He's the other guy you would mention. I just I've never personally expected much out of Tobias Harris.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, yeah, he shot 8 of 24 in a Game 7 elimination game. Was I expecting anything better? No.
He's kind of like a Gallinari who had a great game, and elevated him. So, there was a little bit of that. Lastly, if we go over to the Clippers Suns, this is a weird one because Kawhi Leonard is out. All of a sudden, the Clippers look incredible. They might look better without Kawhi somehow, like miraculous. It's only 3 games, but they look great. And then Phoenix without Chris Paul, you think, okay, this is going to be difficult. They look the exact same. I mean, it's so funny, the MVP. It was such a toxic discourse all year and even up until this weekend. But it is funny to think about, Jokic got bounced, loses Murray, he gets bounced, Embiid gets bounced, Gobert gets bounced. Like all these guys that were like, oh, wait till the playoffs and the defense mattered. None of it has mattered. And then you go, Chris Paul's the real MVP because look at the Suns. Then he's not there and they still win. So it's like nobody is the MVP. This year, if you want to make these stupid little arguments like that, then actually you could make one for every single player. But the reason I wanted to talk about Phoenix is I'm curious who you guys are rooting for, because I thought when Denver played Phoenix, a lot of people, focused in on what Denver couldn't do this. I thought Phoenix was just really good. And I still think they're really good. And I think there's a chance that they not walk, but have a comfortably win. I think they might be comfortably the best team left in the playoffs. And I wonder if you guys feel like I feel, where if Denver went out to the team that eventually won and won comfortably, does that make the context of this whole season different?
Maybe a little different. This is kind of what I was thinking when I said I want the Lakers in round 2, because back then I thought the Lakers were going to be the best team in the playoffs. And I was like, why not just test yourself against the best in a year where you're probably not going to win it without Jamal Murray? But what do we say about the Suns team all year? We were so envious about how the roster was built and how every piece just fit so perfectly. They had a presence inside with DeAndre Ayton. They had shooters on the perimeter. They had like really good defenders on the perimeter. They had a go-to guy in Devin Booker. Like everything just fits so perfectly with that team. We said it all year, and that's exactly what they've looked like in the playoffs. So I'm with you. I think they are definitely the best team left. I think they've been playing the best throughout the playoffs out of any team left. And I think you've got to have them as the favorites right now.
I got to address a comment real quick. Somebody says, Adam, how's Jokic not the MVP? That's not what I said. What I said was people made all these arguments about like, oh, well, Chris Paul clearly has proven he was the true one, or Joel Embiid proven in the playoffs that he was the true one. I was like, you could look at any of this now and say,
right.
Phoenix wins without Chris Paul, 76ers lose with Embiid. Like everybody, all those arguments people made are done. That's all I'm saying. Jokic, of course, he's the MVP. It was 91 out of 101 votes. Of course he was. But back to this one, Dev. How do you feel? Are you rooting for Phoenix because it makes? I mean, does it make the context different for you?
I truly love that Phoenix team.
Chris
Paul is the only guy that people can kind of like root against, and I love Chris Paul. But also there's so many different storylines that you have to like on that. There's the Mikal Bridges, who's a high IQ player that was like not overlooked because he was still a high draft pick, but no one expected him to be this good. Ayton, he's the forgotten guy in a very strong class. And we've all grown to love Ayton and his love for Jokic and whatnot. Then you have Devin Booker, who had the idea that he's just a shoot first shooting guard that only cares about himself. And we see like he goes for like 11 assists. Like he plays winning basketball, but he's also the superstar player. They have Crowder, who has been bouncing around the league and he's like stepping up. They have Monty Williams. Like everyone loves that story. Like you can't root against a guy like that. Yep. They have James Jones as the executive. Like everything about what they have going is what you want. And they also love to play with each other and play the right way. They pass the ball. They are locked in defensively. There's no excuses from them. A guy goes down. They didn't make any excuses when they didn't have Chris Paul. They were ready to play the next game, and that's what they've been. Cameron Payne, he used to be just a guy that danced every single time.
So like, good.
I'm blaming us. I'm blaming us for the campaign resurgence.
So like everybody like on that team, you have to root for. And they play the right way. So I'm definitely rooting for the Suns in every single aspect.
Yeah. This has been a great playoffs for context matters. You know, like Giannis was you can't win with him. He's fake MVP. Now he's back in the conference. Devin Booker, not really a winner, all stats guy. All of a sudden, it's like, no, actually, on the biggest stage against the best defenses, he's incredible. So there's a lot of these like narrative teardowns, which I think is great. I honestly, the 4 teams that are in the playoffs are all compelling to me right now, and especially with Kawhi going down and Paul George stepping up, I just find them really interesting as well. So.
Well, all of a sudden it dawns on you, under this context, hey, the Clippers have never been to a conference finals, right? Paul George and a bunch of guys without their star on the Clippers. I'm in. Yeah, there's meat on that bone. So
also,
I really love
Chris
this
Paul versus the Clippers is like kind of a hilarious, like it's pretty ironic. It's weird that I think of Chris Paul as a Clipper historically.
Well, he's the best Clipper of all time.
I think of him as a Clipper, I think.
He is.
You don't think of him as a Hornet at all?
No. I think of him as a Clipper.
Yeah, I kind of do too. It's kind of weird. It's really weird that way. All right. The other thing I was going to say about Phoenix, it's actually hilarious that Suns and 4 guy has become this celebrity, and now the entire organization is really walking back there like praising.
Did you see the big brawl in their hallway?
Of course. Like everybody, if you knew this was going to happen, like. All right, the thing that happened in Denver, whatever, like it looked like he clearly was just defending himself or whatever, being a troll, but whatever. But then you get to like, oh, we're gonna have him courtside and Devin Booker do this.
That's a little weird.
And now you got everybody. Hey, D-Line's here. So guys, everybody in the walkways now wants to be famous for getting in fights, and it's like now the teams are like, we regret that we made this guy a celebrity. We're our bad guys, our bad.
The worst part about those type of situations is when everyone can say, who didn't see that coming? Like, you praise a guy for fighting.
There you go.
And you think everyone else is not going to try to now fight. Now they're just going to be racking up assault charges, not able to go to any games. Like, if he would have hit someone else or, like, say he hit a woman or something, he'd be banned for life. Or if you throw something at a player, then you're banned for life. And then you like, give some type of praise for him punching a guy. And it's like, oh yeah, that's fine. It's to do it now.
It's only fine. Yeah, it's only fine if you punch somebody, but don't like cause them any serious long-term harm. Just punch somebody just enough so where you send a message, but don't like put them in the hospital.
The context of the fight was
you're good. Then you're good.
What was it, Eric?
He caused us long-term harm.
Yeah,
as a fan base. I want this man arrested. I don't think it's cool that we are making fighting cool. Yeah, all of these people who in Phoenix who don't know how to act, now they think they're going to be celebrities by starting fights with Clippers fans. What is this? In what world are we living?
It could have just been a moment for that guy that everyone understood why it happened, and hopefully it doesn't happen next time. But
if the Suns fans are trying to find Clipper fans to fight, like the 2 that they fought after game 1, they're like halfway through all the Clippers fans.
I love the bravery. I love the bravery of it being 1,900 people against 2 guys. Like, congratulations, Suns fans. You're so impressive.
To make matters worse, they had the guy that lost the fight explain how it all went down, as if we didn't watch what happened, and he's making up his own story. And we're like, we saw it in 4K. Everybody got to see what happened.
He's like, all those punches I took didn't hurt that bad, was basically his argument. Like, but you didn't take all those. You know what? Enough of you. I don't need any more context to this.
People forget real quick if you just take the L, it could be over, but
nobody even recognizes you. You're good. You're good to go. But
take it on the way out, man.
Take it on the way out. Take the L on the way out. All right, let's hit our break. On the other side, though, we're going to ask the question of the day. Ben Simmons, is he a fit in Denver? And then we're going to get to all of your mailbag questions, of which there are numerous. Oh, thumbs down. Don't spoiler alert over here, Vogt.
Well, that'll wrap up the pod.
But I can't wait for it. Let's hit our first break.
All right, I guess I'll do the reads. It's the off season, guys, but make sure to pick up some Mile High City Copper Lager still from Breck Brew. There's not a right time or a wrong time to drink it. Just great to have Mile High City Copper Lager on tap all year. So pick it up from the Breck Brew Farmhouse. You can get it from your local liquor store. It's in that Nuggets Skyline blue can with the Nuggets logo on it. You can't miss it. Make sure to get some Mile High City Copper Lager from Breck Brew this week. Also, if you've never tried Strava Craft coffee before, first off, tastes really good. Better for you to drink than just, regular Starbucks coffee or whatever coffee you're brewing up at home. Go to StravaCraftCoffee.com right now. Use the code DNVR25 for 25% off your first order of Strava Craft coffee, which is packed with CBD. It can help relieve back pain, headaches, long-term migraines, IBS.
It might make you less prone to fight also. Maybe it'll calm you down. To take someone next to go to a basketball game.
Yeah. Maybe we could pitch a Strava Craft coffee cold brew at Ball Arena. But you guys can get some from StravaCraftCoffee.com. Again, use the code DNVR25 for 25% off. If you are a returning Strava Craft customer, use code DNVR20 for 20% off. You can also get a Strava Craft coffee subscription. Get your coffee every 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 weeks. And like I said, if you're a first-time customer, use that code DNVR25 for 25% off at StravaCraftCoffee.com.
All right, let's get to the big question here, guys. Everybody wants to know. Ben Simmons is very available. Very available. In fact, I don't know if there's a single player in the NBA more available right now than Ben Simmons. It's the most amazing change I've ever seen from a guy that was a superstar 2 months ago, a superstar, this or that, to now the trades people are throwing out there for him, like CJ McCollum for Ben Simmons straight up. And you're like, I don't know if I would do that if I'm them. So it's pretty wild. I'll start with you, Eric, since you just hopped in here. I think I know where you take him, but Ben Simmons.
You've read my tweets.
Yeah, Ben Simmons would probably cost a Michael Porter Jr. I mean, that's really, the price is still going to be as steep on him. Do you think, though, that there is a world in which what he brings to the table actually works with Denver in a way it does not in Philly?
I don't personally see it. I mean, I imagine someone who's smart at basketball, the four of you, will explain to me why it can work. But to me, he's like a guy that he's a great passer. So is Nikola Jokic, that can't shoot. I don't really just passing the ball back and forth to one another, and then at a certain point they pass it to somebody else who also can't shoot. Then they just give it right back to Nikola Jokic. I don't get it. To me, and then I also saw a lot of people that are saying we should get him, we should move him to the 4. It's like, okay, so then we have a non-stretch 4 that whose primary skill in the NBA is dribbling and passing, which is not what you want your stretch 4 to do or your 4 to do. I don't get it at all. I like the idea. I mean, I think it's just it's like fantasy basketball. You this guy's an all-star, number 1 overall pick. Absolutely, I'll take that guy. I'll take a flyer on that guy. What could go wrong?
Let me ask.
I don't see the fit at all, man.
Let me ask this: is there anybody that thinks that Ben Simmons is massively underrated at this point and worth Denver kicking the tires on?
Well, if the price is going to be Michael Porter Jr., it's a hard no.
I can't imagine it being anybody else. One, just for financial reasons, you can't fit that money in.
There will be some team out there that definitely talks themselves into Ben Simmons and goes for him. Maybe it's the Portland Trailblazers. I
hope it's Orlando. I hope Orlando takes every broken Philadelphia point guard.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a mystery team that comes out of nowhere. Somebody's going to do it. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to play devil's advocate then here, because I agree that the Michael Porter price is really steep. But let's not act like Michael Porter hasn't at this very moment also look like a flawed player. You know, it's funny that they're kind of polar opposites. Scoring is the most important aspect of basketball. It's the most important aspect. Like, you win the game by scoring points. All the other stuff sets the table for you to score points. So Ben Simmons is good at everything but scoring, every single type of scoring, shooting, dunking, driving, like anything. But he's great at everything else. Defense, he's one of the best, maybe the best defender, one of the best defenders in the NBA. He's a great passer. In transition, he's great. You know, Philly doesn't have any spacing, and I do think there's a world in which I think Giannis is like the perfect power forward to put alongside Jokic because he's so great defensively that he makes up. I think Ben Simmons is the second best, or right up there in terms of he's going to elevate Jokic's defense so much by being able to contain the perimeter and help on the backside and just guard everything and do everything. And I do wonder if there's a world in which, okay, is Simmons tough to build around? Yes, but if he's your one non-shooter and he can handle the ball in pick and roll and he could set screens and roll in pick and roll for Jokic to run pick and roll as a ball handler, like, that works in a way it doesn't work for anybody else. Like, there's no other team that could make him work. And he is so talented at those other aspects.
Yeah, I'm with you, Adam. I'm actually with you. And like, I would never trade Michael Porter Jr. for Ben Simmons. I don't think it's realistic. But if he just somehow found his way to Denver in some far off world and the Nuggets didn't have to give up any of their core, I think it could work. And the main reason why you were kind of getting at it, everybody looks good next to Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic can take a very below average offensive player and make them look great. I mean, when Gary Harris was in his prime, right, and yes, injuries have happened, a couple other things have happened, writers that I really respect were saying, is Gary Harris the next Kawhi Leonard? Like, right. Yep. That was an article written by one of my good friends, Chris Herring, who I really respect. And we were like thinking, maybe he could have that type of jump. Like, Emmanuel Mudiay was playable next to Nikola Jokic at times. He really was. So you put anybody on the court next to Nikola Jokic, Jokic can really, really elevate them. So I think he would turn Ben Simmons into a much better offensive player that he is. And going back to what I was saying earlier, another huge problem that Philly has is Doc Rivers. Like, whatever offense that Philly is running that has Ben Simmons do a dribble handoff at the top of the key and then go stand on the block almost out of bounds for the entry possession, that will never work. So
swipe it, just like he just buried you, Harrison. He just buried it. I wonder if Jokic could win a playoff. I mean, look, actually, I guess he's saying they could win a series.
He's agreeing with Harrison.
Yeah. Well, then they also got swept. But like, there was a limit to how far you could go with this. But to be fair, Austin Rivers is not Ben Simmons. Like, Ben Simmons he's flawed and he got exposed, but he's also he's not those guys.
Right. So I think if he played next to Nikola Jokic, he would look way better than he does. Anybody would.
Yeah, but he looked as bad as anybody has ever looked. I mean, to me, when I look at that, I'm like, all right. Ben Simmons obviously has raw talent, has, physical gifts that can't be denied. He's somehow become like seemingly irreparably broken in Philadelphia. But at this moment, is he bringing to us anything different than PJ Dozier is, except for a giant contract?
I mean, he's 6'10".
He's a lot bigger and he's a better passer. But I'm with Eric. I mean, first of all, Ben Simmons just wrapped up year one of a 5-year, $177 million deal. So there's that. Like, my biggest thing
in that game.
If someone is soaking up that much of your contract, of your cap sheet, it can't be that difficult to make it work around him. So we can say here, well, I bet Jokic could do it. I mean, Jokic can do it with Facu and Austin Rivers, but there are better guys. I mean, he got played off the floor. He got played off the floor against the Atlanta Hawks. And when he was on the floor, he was just as unimpactful. So I don't if he's that far in his head mentally, yes, he can get better. Yes, there's room for growth, but we have seen very little thus far that suggests there's going to be much growth offensively. I don't understand the flyer, especially look, a team like Sacramento, you want to mess around and see if you can extract value from Ben as your franchise cornerstone. Like, that logic that's not where Denver is. That's
exactly right.
The answer is no, just because it can't happen with how much he makes. There's just literally no way you can do it without giving up Michael Porter Jr. And then if you give him up, you give up so much offense, and then there's so much uncertainty with Jamal Murray coming back that you're like, I don't know. But on the flip side, the the reality is that Ben Simmons makes you better. We were just excited about Aaron Gordon coming over because of the defensive abilities that he has. And now you're able to add a guy that's bigger than Gordon, that's a better defender than Gordon, that actually passes the ball. He does, everything as good as Gordon besides shoot the ball, or better than Gordon besides shoot the ball. And then you'll be able to play him in ways that you could give Jokic time on the bench, and now Ben Simmons runs the offense and he's able to create for everyone else. So now you provide the space, and if you have Jamal Murray and other shooters, so he does make sense for the Nuggets. It just won't be able to work because of the money. But there's no way you say that you don't want Ben Simmons. You need defense. The Nuggets desperately need a defender that can play positions 1 through 4, and Ben Simmons can do that with his his body type.
How desperately does Denver need that at the cost of offense in their starting lineup?
I just wonder if you can find offense, though. Like Denver is. I really do think that Denver put out the worst offensive group they could this year by necessity, right? And they still scored 130 points against the Trailblazers, right? Like they ran into a wall, but I do wonder if the Murray-Jokic two-man game is going to be enough to get you 80% of the way there offensively. So now you just need, some role-playing shooters at the 2 and maybe the 3, and then if you have a Ben Simmons who does it. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here because I thought coming into the playoffs, Paul George was the most underrated player in the NBA because the narrative had taken over that he was this choke artist or whatever. And now you're watching him play and you're like, oh, that's right. This guy's actually awesome. And maybe those chokes happened in a volume. They really did happen, but it wasn't a defining thing. And I think Ben Simmons is quickly getting there. Now, does he have some flaws? Yes. But all everybody sees right now are the flaws. And I think that it's like perfect. If we're really talking about that's how low his trade value is, he actually might be a guy that brings that actually is the best version of himself a year or 2 from now.
But the problem is that his contract doesn't evaporate.
Yeah, it's a big one.
His value is at this point absolute, and so you have to be like, he has to play to the level of that contract for anyone to be able to want to even touch it. Like if you're saying can you win it? Like if you're just at a playground and you're able to pick whoever you want on your team, and like Ben Simmons has got kicked off his squad, you're like, okay, cool, yeah, we can make something happen. But like Vogt said, man, we're talking about taking a flyer on a max player. Like you can't take a flyer on a guy that has a max contract. That's not a flyer.
That's an expensive defensive specialist. You know what I mean?
Like like Shaq Harrison. That's a defensive
is Tybal available? Can we just trade for him? Like
Simmons is better than Tybal, but I all right. The point remains, I don't think Denver's in the mix, as evidenced by Vegas and DraftKings not having him as like a top option. Denver's not even on the board for his next location, but it's just interesting. Philosophically, it's interesting because Simmons does bring a lot to Denver, or would, that they need. But the one thing I'll say that, and then we can move on, but the one thing that concerns me most about him is that he is a guy who is pretty opposite of what Denver has built culturally. I think Ben Simmons, it sounds like not all of his teammates really like him, and he's kind of been the big shot dating, the Kardashians and, doing all this different stuff. And even like as recently as within the last year, people ask him about his flaws and he'll shrug them off as if they don't matter. And it's like, yo, man, like sometimes you just have to take some responsibility, and he just doesn't seem like he fits the culture.
I mean, I feel like how would a lot of players be if they were just allowed to not improve at literally anything across the first 4 years of their NBA career? I mean, Ben Simmons hasn't gotten better at anything. And he was handed a max contract. I think most of us thought that was deserving at the time, but he hasn't been asked to improve anything, and he's remained the same player. And now we're seeing that when the lights get bright, he's super fragile.
He's a guard who just set the record for lowest free throw percentage in a playoff run.
He's not a guard. This is part of it. He's not a guard. But that part is I'm telling you, he's a forward now. He's a power forward. Like that, he's a power forward with skill, but he's not a guard. And that's, I think, part of what happened here was Philly was like, hey, he's our point guard. Nope, he's not. He can't be.
Well, I think that was him. He goes, I'm the point guard.
Yeah, that's how he plays. He's got to play like a forward.
Moving on, we got one here from Jake Coyne, Stat Squatch. If you could take any role player from the 4 remaining teams, not name Mikal Bridges, because of course it would be Mikal Bridges, add them to next year's Nuggets, who are you taking? I'll start with you, Dev.
You gotta start with me.
I'll start with me then. I'll start with me to give you a second to think. It's easy. And I'm not just pandering to Serbia. I'm taking Bogdan Bogdanovic.
What? Whoa.
I love this dude. Denver shooting guard that always knocks him down, knows how to play Jokic ball. Of course, man. It's Bogdan Bogdanovic.
He's got a real happy, smiley face, too. I apprate that about him.
So he's smiling. I kind of look like him, kind of.
Let me take a look here. Yeah, I don't see that even a little bit. Nope.
You got one down?
Maybe I go. So I guess it has to go with if the Nuggets keep Gordon or not, because then I would go with Jay Crowder. I just feel like they need a guy that's aggressive. They need someone that's been there and also is going to push guys around. I feel like he's not afraid to talk to anyone. He's going to tell you exactly what he feels. He's going to tell you how to win games and what he's seen. So that's the player that really stands out to me off the top of my head. I'm sure you guys are going to come up with something cool, and I'm going to be like, you know what?
No, Jay Crowder's a good one for sure. Yeah.
I mean, what about your guy, Harrison? What about Kevin Huerter?
I was waiting for somebody to nominate Red Velvet.
He was incredible, this last game. And the crazy thing is that, I could not believe the shooting performance we got out of Trae Young. It did not matter with Danilo Gallinari and Kevin Huerter. I'll take them both as a package. I'll take Gallo back. I love that man.
I've had roster envy over whomever's had Seth Curry for a while now.
Really?
Yeah,
hard though, man.
You're right, and that really reared its head in that game.
They hunted him.
How about this though? Seth Curry as your second best player, suspect. Bench player, different equation.
Denver's getting absolutely torched, but they might not ever be stopped. It'd be 150 to 151 every single playoff game. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Ooh, I like this one. Who else?
Terrence Mann.
We got a PJ Tucker vote. I don't know about that.
Maybe 5 years ago, I was all in on that. Terrence Mann, hell yeah, dude.
I think Bogdanovic is the correct answer. I think I got this one right.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Don't highlight that one.
Is Joe Harris too good to be in this discussion? Or I guess that's just lost, actually.
I didn't finish reading the entire.
Yeah, I was going to say you picked the wrong. Joe Harris. I was going to say Joe Harrison. Brooklyn really needed him in Game 7. He had some chances. He was not great.
This is
try to tank his trade value to Denver.
It's a great one from Chase.
He wants to be here.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo. All right, next question here. With the team discontinuing the rainbow jerseys, please share your prediction for the next city jersey. Also, the Nuggets might be due for their throwback jersey this year as well. This comes from the homie Alec Gwynn. Eric, let you take this one first.
Well, we can't predict it, right? Any number of ways they could go. They'll probably do – what will they do?
They're going to go gold. They've gone red. They've gone both shades of blue. They've gone white.
Yeah, but I guess
the gold the yellow jerseys have always just been disasters, though.
Terrible,
totally disastrous. Yeah. I hope that they come out with some new thing that we could be that we all like, and we can weave into the fabric of what it is to be a Nuggets fan. But who knows? I don't know. It can go anywhere. Nike's rolled out some pretty insane uniforms.
I love the royal blue. The ones, the current city jerseys to me is the two jerseys I love the best. The pickaxes with the ball, the blue, and then obviously the new white ones from this year. I would love for the city jersey to stay that blue. For that what is it called? Skyline blue. I'd like for that to become the staple cool color for the Nuggets.
The reason why that one is so good, and this is the conversation we always have, is it's just such a basic design, something that can stand the test of time. It's not just something that's new, hot, and cool. Everybody's I hate to rain on everyone's parade, but the current 90s throwbacks are not going to age well. Everyone, we've seen it happen before.
What are the 90s throwbacks?
Just in general, in sports, everyone loves 90s throwbacks garbage, and it's
gotcha.
I've seen how this story ends, and it does not end well.
We just realize a second time that design wave was bad. We just have to do that
all over. This is what it's just like a whole new set of people that were like, "What are you talking about? This is great," and I'm like, "Oh boy."
The Nuggets can learn a lot from the success and failures of the last 3 seasons from jerseys, because there have been some huge hits, and you're right, they are the simple, the white one from this year and the blue one. For the last couple are so simple and basic. The colors pop. The logos are simple. It looks timeless and classic. And then the ones that they've really failed on have been the ones that have been the loudest. Hey, we're trying so hard. It's hey, man.
They'll make some big thing that's the full the full skyline. It'll be lines everywhere, and everyone will be like, "Oh, sign me up!" Like those Rockies throwback, turn back the clock.
The only thing good
jerseys.
about the altitude Comcast thing is Nuggets fans didn't have to watch the Nuggets in the red flat iron red jerseys this year.
I know.
The
Talk
only
about a
good thing about
harbinger.
them.
Like we should have known. Like as soon as they suited up in Game 4 in those reds, we should have just turned off the TV. What are we thinking here? It's impossible.
I am so happy that Jacob Hill spent $2 to super chat us to let us know that Simmons shot 100% in the fourth
Cracking
quarter.
up at that.
The 3 for 3, right?
Yeah, 3 for 3.
3 for 3.
Good point, Jacob.
We could put that towards his contract. That $2.
I wonder if Simmons had like a bonus in his contract. Like if you shoot above 50% from the field in the playoffs, you get $100,000. And he's like, I'm just not going to shoot.
Yeah.
I'm going to one more, then we'll take another break here. But what should be the plan to survive the regular season without Murray and hopefully keep the home court seed? Or are they good enough as is? This comes from Circus K. Dev, what do you think, man? Is there a strategy they need to do? Or what's the game plan for making it to a top seed next year without Murray?
Just let Jokic go insane, but rest him. I think you should rest him.
And you're not going to get a top seed.
This doesn't die out at the end of the season. Also, with resting him, you give other people confidence to like want to take shots and also know their role and to be into a different role. Like one guy's not going to be all defense. One guy's not going to only come in and score. Like they're going to all become better, and they know that they have to get better. Also, we see that the Nuggets can win games around their best player, who's also had an MVP season. He was going to win MVP no matter what. So if you give him some time off and just have him ready for the playoff run, then that's it. Also, just don't get hurt.
No.
Life is so easy. Basketball
life
is easy.
Basketball's easy. Real quick note in the comments, guys. We don't mind everybody speaking in obviously your native tongue, whatever. Oh, if you can try, especially right now, with I know so many people are going back and forth about this Jokic thing. Just try if you can. Try to stick to English as frequently as possible.
So we can interact, so we can see it and talk.
Yeah. I just know a lot
unless you're talking about us in negative terms, then you can keep it in your
Right,
negative.
yeah, keep
We
it
don't want that.
Vogt, what do you think? The game plan, the roadmap for Denver to be a top seed?
I wonder if maybe top 3 seed is not as much of a goal this time around as it is getting into the playoffs with guys feeling good, feeling healthy, and then seeing how Jamal looks in round 1. Especially with all the weird ways Denver's won and lost playoff games. It's almost like I know there's all the traditional paths and rules and ways to get this stuff done, but with Denver, it's almost like, all right, let's keep as many healthy bodies on the floor, see what it looks like when Jamal comes back. When I say that, I mean maybe you rest Jokic where you can and accept that you don't necessarily win those games.
I think the key is twofold. One, I do think that they need to learn some new styles with that, in particular, that utilize Michael Porter in more of his comfort spots. And this is a two-way street. Michael Porter's got to get better. I think he knows that. But I do wonder if there's something to Denver going away from what they've done, coming up with a whole new style that once Murray comes back, you can then just blend the new styles. And that's part of it. The other part of it, and you guys talked about this on the show on Friday, glossed over it, I think, a little bit. The most interesting thing to come out of Tim Conley's post-game presser was his walk through low-high with Zeke Naji. Because Zeke Naji is a player that, to me, represents what Denver is missing, a two-way player. Denver needs two-way players. They don't have to be stars, but they have to be guys that are not anchors on either end of the floor. Not like Aaron Gordon right now is great defensively, but he can be, when he's not on, a bit of an anchor on that end. Like Michael Porter can be an anchor on the defensive end. Zeke Naji represents a guy that's both reliable defensively, reliable offensively, and that's it. And I think he becomes an important piece next year. So to me, it's integrating, finding two-way players, and then trying to find a style that lends itself a little bit better to Michael Porter, or Michael Porter lending himself to a better fit into what Denver does.
First off, we said that his walk through low-high was very north side. And then we said that he could be a replacement for Aaron Gordon. We didn't gloss over it at all. We just didn't say what you wanted to say. You just made it longer. We said the exact same thing you said.
Well, you didn't say it with enough emphasis like I just did.
Well, I'll say it right now. I think Zeke Naji could be the Nuggets' 7th man next season. Ooh. First big man off the bench. I think like
more valuable. I think there's a chance he's more valuable than that.
More valuable than Aaron Gordon.
Well, I think there's a chance that he could be a guy that, like, when you look at the best lineups, it won't be probably the most played lineups, but you look at it and you're like, man, that lineup always slaps when Zeke and MPJ are on the court together, and maybe you even allows you to play Gordon up more or something. You get weird with some of your line. I don't know. But
I think Najee is going to be huge next season.
Yeah.
I think he's going to play a lot. Like, the Nuggets love that kid. I love him. I think he's just really, really good. I thought he could have played this year. And my biggest fear next season, and it's a legit worry, is that without Jamal, there's just going to be such a heavy load that Nikola feels like he has to take. And, hopefully this doesn't happen, but like it could be another season where he gets a little worn down at the end. And so, like you said, Adam, if they just find a way where he doesn't have to carry such a big load on the offensive end night in, night out, they've got to do that because that's my big worry, that he could get a little worn down again.
The crazy thing that we are left with at this exact moment in time is that we're coming off of what seemed like an absolute damnation of our program, that the Nuggets don't have anything left. They have to make big changes. What are they going to do? When really, like, when Murray went down, they didn't have any problem winning regular season games at all. And like they had a problem beating who could realistically be the NBA champion. Like they beat Portland in 6 games, like fairly easily. After having essentially punted a game. I don't think the Nuggets need to worry. Like, we're in a place where it just seems like the Nuggets are broken, but they're not broken. They just have to wait for Jamal Murray to come back. And we saw them win. They were the winningest team in the NBA without Jamal Murray going down the stretch.
But the consequences of that were Nikola got worn down. Like, he just did.
Right.
That was the consequence of that.
But my point, I think my point dovetails into Vogt's point. Like, we don't need a top 3 seed. Like, we just need to get into the playoffs with a healthy Jamal Murray, with a functioning.
I agree.
That foursome, and then then you let the chips fall where they may. But you're right. Like, you can't run Nikola into the dirt trying to get a top 3 seed. It's not that important. But the Nuggets are not broken. Like, we just have to. They're broken in that Jamal Murray's ACL is broken, right?
That's pretty much it.
I just feel like everyone just gets that recency bias, and whenever I hear people talking about the Nuggets, it's like, guys, like, they literally had the best offense in the history of the NBA for that small window of time that we had the group together. Like, they found a combination that works together very well. And
I agree big time.
They should not cut the nose to spite the face. Like, they just start to make panic moves, bring in, Ben Simmons to like try to fix something that's not broken. Like we just got to wait this out, dudes. We can do that. We can get in as a 6 seed. Like, come on.
Preaching. I think
I've been talking to somebody, very, very smart with the team lately about, my take about, man, nobody can guard. Like, if Gobert can't guard and Embiid can't guard, and somebody's telling me, you're looking at it all along. Are you? Oh, Dev, I thought Dev was talking to me. But looking at it all wrong, saying that's not the point. The point in the playoffs is to make the other team blink first. And Denver maybe does have an offense, just when healthy, that makes other teams blink first. So can Jokic guard Chris Paul in the pick and roll? Probably not. Probably never. But guess what? All those mid-rangers and everything else, like, that only takes you so far. Whereas maybe eventually Phoenix looks at it and goes like, man, we're giving up 130. We have to blink and put a different lineup out there that makes us less on offense too. And that's how you win. Let's take a break though. On the other side, we got a couple more. We'll go rapid fire in the 4th. We only got the 4 questions. So we got like 10 more.
But we should hit. We've got a couple of Discord questions, Adam. I want to give them priority.
Oh, hell yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah, the Discord homies, dude. I got to think one of it is going to be buckets if I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But no, Bucket hit us up on Twitter, actually. Oh, do you want me to do these now real quick, Adam?
No, let's should we do the break first?
Yeah,
let's do the break. Yeah.
Guys, right now, if you're looking for a dentist in the Denver area, check out Green Mountain Dental Group. You're going to get a free Sonic Air toothbrush, top of the line, electric toothbrush. It's going to last you a long time. Maybe lead to less dentist visits in the long run. But get one of those from Green Mountain Dental Group, Sonic Air toothbrush, when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam with Green Mountain Dental Group today. A lot of us at DNVR, we go there for everything from teeth cleanings to getting our cavities filled, getting wisdom teeth pulled. They're great people. They're great at what they do. They care about you as a customer. So hit them up, Green Mountain Dental Group. Get a free Sonic Air toothbrush when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam. And also, DNVR listeners, you guys can get 20% off from manscaped.com. You can get 20% off the Lawnmower 4.0, which is now available at manscaped.com with the code DNVR20. The Lawnmower 4.0 recently launched from Manscaped. Ton of really awesome features. 4000K LED spotlight, a new trimmer with customizable guard lengths, sizes 1 through 4. You get the travel bag. You get wireless charging. All of that with the Lawnmower 4.0 from manscaped.com. Get it for 20% off plus free shipping. But the thing is, you got to use the code DNVR20. That's get 20% off. Whatever you want from manscaped.com, the Lawnmower 4.0, they got tons of other stuff on there too, with the code DNVR at manscaped.com. And finally, if you are in the market for a new house, if you're trying to take out a new mortgage, hit up the good folks over at Chevalier Mortgage, www.dnvrmortgage.com. Mike and Virginia Chevalier, they've been in the mortgage business forever. They're pros. They're also part of the DNVR fam. So hit them up if you have any questions about a mortgage, buying a house, what that process is like. It's so stressful, but they make it really easy. Visit them at dnvrmortgage.com. Get set up with a free consultation when you're there. And like I said, they'll make the home buying process super easy for you, especially if you're a first-time buyer. Michael Chevalier, NMLS number 1931006. Virginia Chevalier, NMLS number 1910631.
All righty, perfect. All right, what do we got here, Vogt? Some Discord members only?
Yeah, just a couple of them. We've talked about Harrison trying to get point guards in Denver in the meantime while they wait for Jamal Murray. Broncos K-Dog wants to know about Kemba Walker playing in Denver. Is that realistic in any way? Is there any sort of fit there? To me, it's an easy no, just in terms of practically it makes no sense. You'd rather have Jamal Murray when he's healthy, of course. I think we're all on the same page on that one.
What do you think, Deb? Are you a Kemba guy?
No, I think he's a talented offensive guy, but I would rather have Monte, with the contract and things like that.
The contract,
yeah. So there's no reason. It makes no sense.
No.
I will keep it moving then. Lyco011 wants to know about Serbian super teams in the making in Denver. Bogdan, Micic. Is anything realistic here?
Who's Micic?
I don't know.
Oh, that's who asked the question.
He just won MVP of the
That's right. Yeah,
Adriatic League.
Man, then bring him.
Oh, I don't know anything about this guy.
The second coming of Jokic, but not really.
No, the second coming of Jokic might be Nikola Jovic.
Yeah, that's right.
Got him.
Look, I don't think it's going to happen, sadly, but I'm all about the Bielica and Bogdanovic. Like those two are in the club for me. I don't know about anybody else. Like some people said Boban. Like I don't know the point of any of this, but
we're in on Boban. On Friday we were all about Boban. I want Boban, dude.
Why?
Look, Adam. You're gonna have a roster
of JaVale.
Yeah, you've got a roster spot reserved for Jokic's friend. You might as well make that a rotation player.
Is Boban a rotation player for Denver? I don't think so. But all right.
Then finally, this one's for you. Vice President of Discord Operations, Jake Vandenbrink.
Kale, are you asleep at the wheel, dude? There's this a-hole in the chat that has been spamming it, man. Get this guy out of here.
Kale's icing himself down. Jake, Adam, this question's for you. You talked about it on Locked On. Well, it's for all of us, but defense not mattering as much in the playoffs, the point you were hitting on earlier. He basically wanted us to flesh that out more. And if that's the case, can you point to teams that have won finals without having a really good defense?
Can you point to teams? Here's why I don't like this question. Because I'm telling you, the separation between offense and defense seems so linear. Like there is no relationship to them. There isn't. And this is what I'm talking about how you have to make teams blink first. The Jazz had a great defense until they couldn't because Clippers go small against them, and all of a sudden Gobert can't score against little guys. Like had he been able to do that, the Clippers would have had to change their defense to be less, good overall, but better suited to stopping their big man. Denver has the best offensive big in the league, but the best offensive big in the league. So if you try to go small against them, you have to make them blink. Denver couldn't do that against the Suns because Jamal Murray wasn't there. I think he can later on. So then all of a sudden the Suns aren't as good of a defense. So to me, they're just all connected. This is why I think, can Denver be a good defense? Yes, but they have to punish you so much that you're not getting to throw your best punch at them.
Gotcha. And that's it for the
It's
Discord
like
questions.
boxing. Sometimes in boxing, right? Like
Totally.
you can just play defense, or you can be such a good counterattack that the other guy has to really think about every punch he throws. And that's what Denver has to be. Denver has to be so good that the other team has to always be thinking about whether or not they're going to throw that jab or whatever. And
that's why Jamal Murray would have made that series just feel so different, because like the Nuggets could have punched first with Jamal Murray, and then Phoenix would have had to react. Yeah. So it would have changed everything.
I also think, in the modern NBA now, where basically almost every good team is just like a historically great offense. I also wonder how much it's about just staying connected so that you can make the right plays at the right times, right? Maybe you played elite defense for 5 minutes and that swung the game, as opposed to being built like the grit and grind Memphis Grizzlies or whatever. But that's it for Discord.
And I see somebody saying Jake is right. Everyone that wins a chip plays defense. You're not wrong. What I'm saying, though, is it's easier to play defense against other teams' not best punch. And that's what I'm getting at. But to do that, you have to be able to punish them. Like Phoenix got to give us their best punch nonstop because Denver couldn't punish them on the other end of the court. So Denver constantly had to go up against it. But that would have been different, I think, if you had Murray. And now it's like, hey, we can't play all of our best offensive players. Chris Paul doesn't get to relax on defense and then just destroy on offense. Right. Now he has to actually work hard, and it just changes the dynamic of it. So then Denver all of a sudden is not giving up 120 points. Going back to the questions we got, have we seen the last of Paul Millsap in a Nuggets uniform? And who will be the oldest Nugget next year? This comes from NW Nugs.
Dude, can I hit you guys with some trivia?
Oh, boy.
Do you know who is now has the most all-time NBA playoff games under their belt without a finals appearance?
Paul Millsap.
I'm guessing Paul Millsap. Guess based
Paul
on
Millsap, number one.
That's crazy. Ugh. Man, that should have changed this year.
I know, man. That's one of the top. That bums me out so much.
Dev, you got to take on. I think that if I were to guess, I would say Millsap's not back and Barton is not back. So then you're talking about the Jokic being the oldest tenured Nugget remaining.
Yeah, I don't see a reality that Millsap is back. I just don't think it makes sense. He's already went from like paid high and big into not really playing at all. What would be the point of just like keeping him around? I think they would go younger rather than him around for any type of veteran presence, and it hasn't actually worked. Also, with Zeke now like up in his like stock and now having a chance, I don't see why they would go with Millsap. So I do think that was the last time we've seen him in a Nuggets uniform.
All right,
maybe JaMychal Green might be the oldest next season.
Yeah,
31.
Yeah, we don't really. How old? We really have a very young team. Like every time that they were talking about the youngest teams, like when we added Paul Millsap, it like added like 3 or 4 years to the aggregate age of the team. Yeah. But you're right. Yeah, I don't like this comment. I'd like to bring up about Eric's voice barely matches his face. Right? I don't. This has come up more than one time. I don't understand. What is my? And then I was told that I was. They thought I looked like a bald hipster, which I'm halfway there.
which is the half part.
You tell me. I don't know. I'll leave it out there.
I got one more here. We'll go to, if you were TC, what would your top 3 priorities be in terms of player personnel? This comes from Cal Yonahan.
Perimeter defense, I guess.
Yeah. It's this,
that's the easy one. That's always the easy one. A backup center. I think the Nuggets could really use a backup center. Like going back to what I was saying earlier, making sure Jokic doesn't burn out during the regular season has to be priority number 1 this coming regular season. And a big part of that will be having a very reliable backup center that you can just trust.
Yeah, I would like my first would be an interchangeable defender, the backup center, and then third I would go after a spark plug, a reliable spark plug off the bench, a guy that just goes in there and your job is to score with the second unit, and you don't have to worry about anything else.
Jamal Crawford's available.
I love Marc Gasol on the team, but I think Marc Gasol still wants to play. He was not happy with his limited minutes, and I don't think he would play a lot here. I mean, you only need him from when Jokic's not on the court. I do think he'd be great for teaching Jokic, though. Like I imagine
cool,
Jokic would become a much better defender with Marc Gasol in his ear. I can't remember where the question was, so I apologize if I didn't. Oh, if I know you haven't dived into the draft yet, but do you think they should go for a prospect or trade for a more veteran option? And I think this is a real interesting question here. Tim Conley, kick ass at the draft.
The kickest assist. But
does Denver need to go for a vet? What do you think, Dev?
I think you go young. There's no point for a vet. They've already had the vet presence. And also, I don't think that they have a team that will listen to a vet unless it is like a Gasol who could help Jokic like direct.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the vet guys are fit for this type of Nuggets team at all. So I say go young and just to build around them. Also, you start with not having these questions like going into it. You already have the questions about like everybody's going to be on max contracts. You're not going to have money to pay those type of people to come around for a long time. You might as well have a young guy that can get better under the wings.
Denver really needs to like protect their salary cap going forward, because I do think Porter, they're going to have a full salary cap. They're going to need a lot of cheap guys. So the draft is one way to do that. I think the big thing is, Zeke Naji needs to I think, be a piece next year. Like he needs to be a player. And Michael Porter just needs to improve yet again. In the regular season, he was great. And if you just look, this is the longest offseason he's going to get, basically in his career. I do expect a good leap from him, especially with how obvious it is that he needed to make improvements. So I just want to see, can he make that leap? And if he does, then Denver can survive next year and can look really good. But it's a big if with Michael Porter. I'm so curious to see, and maybe it helps. He might be a player who's so motivated. I wonder if it helps when he gets his big contract. If it's like, okay, now I can breathe easy. I'm making money. They've committed to me. I know this, and go from there. But
the thing about like having a core, it just allows you so much flexibility to try to fill out the pieces around it. But like the Nuggets are not thinking of like you can build a team instantly by picking a bunch of vets and a bunch of proven players, putting them all together, putting them in a petri dish, becoming the Brooklyn Nets. But like the Nuggets are thinking about the long-term health of this organization, the way that Tim Conley has structured this. Like, and the way that you do that is you just continually stock your cupboards. And so next year it's like, who do we add? Like we add Zeke Naji next year because that's the addition. And then we bring in another young guy that has promise that can, fulfill his promise down the line, but is probably going to sit next year. But that's the way that you stay relevant for a very long time. You don't just like go out and like, make impulsive moves to bring some guy in. And then if you're doing it right, veterans like a Paul Millsap or guys that have been good that are wanting to, do something at the end of their career will come in and start to join your team theoretically. Like obviously this has never been the case for Denver, but if you're just looking at the best way to build a franchise, like that's the way you do it. So the Nuggets should do that. They should just always add the best young player that they possibly can, and then see if they can get, somebody that's hungry to join a well-run organization and wants to play along Nikola Jokic. But also, you just got to draft TC. That's his superpower. You don't take him away.
Yeah, you can't take away more first-round picks from Tim Conley at this point.
Let's get out of here, guys, because we ran a little bit long.
No,
today.
I gotta say one thing. It's on the tip of my tongue. Also, hoarding assets gives you more paths to audibling going forward, right? Especially as cap sheets get complicated. These are how you get off of contracts or bring more talent in. So it gives him room to be creative.
I am curious, though. You can cue that outro music, Hill. I am curious to see how Denver or how some teams handle. Like Portland right now, I think is in panic mode. They're looking to shake things up major. Philadelphia, I think we already talked about them. Utah might be a team that now looks at it and says we're going to blow things up. So
they could look
if this is an off season that has more turmoil than usual. And if that's the case, then maybe this is a crazy. Like there's moves to be made out there that we don't even anticipate yet that are a little bit shocking. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But that'll do it today, guys. Just as a reminder, Mondays mailbag every Monday. Tuesday we're going to have
Monday, baby.
The homie Miroslav is on with us tomorrow, so Serbs, you could tune in. We're going to be diving in a little bit to these dynamics, I think, with the national team. Also, just catching up with Miroslav will be great. Maybe some Joel Embiid slander. I don't know. We'll see if we have Wednesday, I see some people in here are wanting us to talk about Chris Duarte. Is that how I say his name, Harrison?
That's right. Yeah.
Chris Duarte. Well, guess what? That is who we're talking about for Draft Wednesday. Draft Wednesday. So we are going to be talking about him on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll have a guest on, and then Casual Friday. That's Eric's time to shine. He's so casual.
Dude, I've never been more casual than I am right now.
So don't forget to tune in. We're back at 2 o'clock tomorrow, guys, and we'll be 2 o'clock the rest of the week. We can't wait. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.